Hello there, and welcome to the Return Homestead. Today's a busy day, so I'm going to be harvesting peppers and fermenting them. I'm also going to be harvesting herbs, putting them in the dehydrator, and taking the ones out of the dehydrator and putting in jars such as this. I'm also going to be making a batch of food for sunshine. And this is a floral rinse that I've had turning into vinegar. That needs to go into a jar. If it sits too long, it gets really, really strong vinegar, and we don't like it quite that strong. So I'm going to jar this up so that we'll have it on the shelf for later on. So we're going to be processing things out of the garden and to the finished state. If you want to see how I do this quickly, come along.
She is not moving. This pepper is dying for no apparent reason. The peppers on either side are fine. If you've seen this, please leave me a comment. Tell me what it is.
So I ended up with a total of 2 gallons. I still have peppers left. The problem is I'm out of airlocks. These airlocks require a special lid. These airlocks, you use regular wide mouth band and they just screw on. So these are the ones I prefer. They're a waterless airlock, and you just got to remember to push down on this thing about once a day to let the gases out, or it will burn. It will actually unscrew itself and come loose, and I've had it happen. So I'll keep this with me. I usually keep brine all made up so that I can add it to the top of these as they start to ferment. Also, you want to check these on a regular basis to make sure that all of your peppers are below the brine. You don't want them above the brine. So I usually push them down 2 or 3 times a day for the first week. These will ferment for 2 weeks, then I can can them up. And again, we'll link that video down below. So now that that's done, it's on to the basil. One more thing on the ferments. So I have ferments going all over the place. These are rinses and their vinegars. And then all the peppers that I have. There is no way to keep track of all this. So what I generally do is I write the date on a tag of when I make them and when they'll be ready. That way I don't lose track of them. So you can come up with your own way of doing things. This is the way I do it. It's easy. This is just an index card taped to the lid. But if you start fermenting like I do, you're going to need to keep track of it all. So with my fresh basil, it's all washed. I'll pull it off the stems. Anything that looks bad, I won't use, like this. Obviously this looks like basil too. So I'll take the pretty stuff. The chickens will eat the other, I think. We can try. Give it a chop. Nothing real small. It doesn't need to be small. And I have a silicone mold here, and I'll just drop some in the bottom. Basically what you would want to use for a recipe. And then I'll pour olive oil over it. You don't fill it up. You just, enough to cover the bottom. Once they're done, I put them in a freezer bag, and you end up with this. So when you're making any kind of a pasta dish or soup or whatever, you just pull one of these out, throw it in the pan, and it's ready to go. So I've had rose petals in the dehydrator. I use these in my floral rinses. They are ready, so I'm going to put those up to make room for more herbs. So if there's any moisture or condensation, I usually don't seal this up right away. I'll just cover it with a paper towel, put the lid on it, band on it, and set it in the pantry. And it can continue drying if there's any liquid or any water in there. Next up is the yellow squash. So I'm basically just going to be slicing it, putting them in Ziploc bags, labeling them. If you think you don't need to label something, wait till it's in the freezer a couple months. You'll forget what you had. Shoot, I forget what happened from the pantry to the kitchen, so don't rely on your memory. Chickens don't really eat this, but we will. It'll be good in soups. No, I don't blanch it. I just freeze it. So I went out and harvested some dill. This is a mammoth bouquet dill, and this is a bouquet dill. Very different plants, but they do the same thing. You can wait until the flowers pop on these. But I didn't. They smell really good. So what I'm going to do is I will go ahead and put these on the dryer, and I'll get those drying. Oh, it smells good. Okay. You can harvest either the bouquets, and you can harvest the leaves as well. I use these in my pickles and in my homemade ranch dressing. I don't have a video on that. If you want to see a video, let me know. I can do one. But I do a spicy ranch dressing. I was also able to get some sage. Now, my blackberries are looking pretty sad right now. I was able to get a few berries off of it. I don't know if you guys are having the same problem, but I posted on our Facebook group that I've noticed a lot of the trees turning yellow and brown and dropping their leaves. And everybody said something about the tulip poplars, and a lot of them are that, but they're not all poplars. So they are also beech, sycamore, but it looks like fall out there. And this is only the end of July. This is way too early. I also noticed that I've got random pepper plants just shriveling up. If you guys have seen this at your place, leave me a message. I'm really curious, but I've had people reply to me on Facebook saying that they live in Illinois, Indiana. They're also seeing this. I don't know what's up with it. If you know anything, let us know. But it's a little bit distressing. This is marshmallow. It's the flowers and the leaves. I use it in my floral rinses. All parts of this plant are edible. In fact, they used to make marshmallows from it. If you saw that video, I kind of explained that. They don't any longer. And that one's done as well. I was able to harvest a little more basil. In this bottle I have rosemary infused olive oil. I'm going to add it to my basil oil. And get the cork out. Save your bottles, you never know. Ouch. Go. Smells good. And this will go back in the freezer. Now don't be afraid to experiment with things like I'm doing here. This is what the fun part is. So this is bee balm or Monarda that I've had hanging in my pantry while my dehydrator was full. It's not quite dry, so I'm going to go ahead and put it in now that I have an empty tray. We use this in our nighttime tea. You can use the flowers, you can use the leaves. And we use this with chamomile and catnip. It's mostly dry, but if it's not completely dry, it will mold. That's why you see me put a lot of paper towels over the top, to be sure. Here it's very humid and mold is something you gotta be concerned with. In the desert, I could hang it out on the porch. It would have been fine, but here, not so much. This is a perennial, so once you plant it, you're done. It keeps coming back. It will also spread if you let it. Usually if a plant is trilobal, meaning you can feel it, it's triangle, and you roll it in your hands. Mints would be one, bee balm, oregano, those things will really spread. So if you don't want them to, you need to contain them. And now the dehydrator is ready to be turned back on. And that's done. So the rice is cooking for Sunshine's food. The rooster is done, so I just need to shred that and get it all mixed up. This is a floral rinse. It's about 4 weeks old and it's getting pretty, it's got a very strong vinegar smell now, but this one I made out of lilacs. It also has a very strong lilac smell, so I'm going to jar this up. It smells so good. But I had a little extra, so I'm going to just cover this back up till we start using through this. So now that the harvest has come in, we were able to put up peppers today and ferment those, put up herbs and get more drying, make dog food for Sunshine, and to filter out some floral vinegars. So it's been a very busy day. Thank you for coming along with me today, and until we see you next time, God bless and bye-bye.